The Rock steals Mike Tyson's seat on the jet, but what Mike Tyson did next shocked everyone. In the world of celebrity encounters, nothing spreads faster, or hits harder, than a moment caught between two giants whose reputations precede them. And when those giants happen to be Dwayne, The Rock, Johnson and Mike, Iron, Tyson, the world doesn't just watch, it holds its breath. For years, fans have debated who would win in a confrontation between one of the most electrifying entertainers in sports entertainment and one of the most feared heavyweight champions to ever step into a ring. But what happened on a luxury private jet, high above the clouds, away from cameras, crowds, and security, became a story that insiders still whisper about. This tale isn't just about a seat on a jet. It's about ego. It's about respect. It's about a moment where two legends collided in a setting where nobody expected sparks to fly. You're about to hear the full story from the beginning, the tension, the shock, the moment that left passengers frozen in disbelief, and the reactions that eventually went viral worldwide. This is not fiction for the faint-hearted. It's a roller coaster of emotion, suspense, and pure adrenaline as two icons clash in a way nobody predicted. So sit tight, relax, and keep your eyes glued to the screen. Because you are not ready for the chaos that erupted 30,000 feet above the earth. And remember, if you enjoy stories like this, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more epic tales. The sun hung low over the Los Angeles runway, painting streaks of gold across the private jet hangar as passengers boarded the exclusive flight bound for Dubai. Among them were CEOs, influencers, foreign dignitaries, and two men whose names alone could make the ground shake, Mike Tyson and The Rock. Mike arrived first, wearing a simple black hoodie, joggers, and a calm smile that only made him look more intimidating. Despite his legendary status, Tyson had always been surprisingly gentle and quiet in public spaces, especially around strangers. He stepped into the jet, scanning the lavish interior filled with cream-colored leather seats and soft lighting. His assistant had already confirmed his preferred seat, the spacious, window-side recliner in the front row. He took a breath, nodded to the flight attendant, and placed his small duffel bag in the overhead compartment. But before he could sit down, voices echoed from behind. "Make way, people." It was The Rock, bigger than life, wearing sunglasses indoors, and smiling like the world belonged to him. As he entered, the air shifted. People murmured. Heads turned. Even the flight crew straightened their posture. Tyson noticed The Rock immediately. But instead of stepping aside, he simply sat down in his assigned seat and put on his headphones. Mike didn't stand up, didn't wave, didn't even nod. He just relaxed. The Rock smirked and walked down the aisle until his eyes locked onto the very seat Mike sat in. The same seat. His seat. The Rock had also specifically requested that spot, a detail his management clearly hadn't communicated well. He paused, tilted his head, removed his sunglasses, and stared down at Tyson. "Hey champ," he said in that deep, charismatic voice. "I think you're in my seat." Tyson didn't respond at first. He simply blinked, turning his head slowly like a cobra analyzing prey. "Your seat?" Tyson asked calmly. "Yeah," The Rock replied with that trademark grin. "Front left. Window. That one." A few passengers already started whispering. "This isn't happening. No way, these two are about to fight on a jet. Oh my God, get your phones." Tyson removed one headphone. He didn't stand up. He didn't show an ounce of aggression. "That's funny," Mike said. "Because this is the seat they told me to take." The Rock chuckled, not rudely, but with the amused confidence of a man used to getting his way. "Well then," he said, leaning down closer, "looks like someone made a mistake. But don't worry, I'll fix it." Before Tyson could respond, The Rock reached forward, placed one giant palm on the armrest and casually slid his other hand toward Tyson's drink on the small tray. And then, The Rock moved Mike's drink aside and sat down. Right next to Tyson. Half on the seat. Half pushing him off. Passengers gasped. The Rock wasn't trying to be violent. He wasn't trying to start a fight. He was simply asserting dominance in the most rock-like way possible, confident, playful, but undeniably disrespectful. Tyson didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't flinch. He just stared at the Rock with the cold, silent glare that once made world-class fighters back away. "You're sitting on me," Tyson said softly. The Rock laughed. "Come on, champ, relax. Slide over. You know I like this seat." "No," Tyson replied, his voice suddenly deepening. "I don't know." That's when the jet cabin fell into dead silence. The Rock's smile faded. He finally stood back up, towering over Tyson. "You're really not gonna move?" he asked. "No," Tyson said. "But you are." The tension was thick enough to freeze the air itself. But instead of stepping aside, the Rock placed his hands on the seat again, leaned in, and whispered. "Mike, don't make this difficult. I'm trying to be cool." Tyson slowly stood up. The cabin collectively inhaled. Mike wasn't large in height, especially compared to the Rock, but the aura that radiated off him was something else. Something primal. Something dangerous. He stepped so close their chests nearly touched. "You know what's funny?" Tyson said quietly. "People think you get tough from lifting weights, but toughness comes from something different. Something inside." The Rock swallowed. He wasn't scared, but he wasn't stupid either. "So what now?" he asked. "You gonna hit me over a seat?" Tyson leaned in and said something that sent chills through everyone watching. "I don't hit people for seats," he whispered. "But I handle disrespect." Then, without warning, Tyson reached for the Rock's wrist. Passengers gasped. The flight attendants froze. Someone whispered, "He's about to break his arm." But Tyson didn't strike. He didn't swing. He didn't hurt the Rock. Instead, he gently, but firmly, lifted the Rock's arm away from the seat and stepped around him, reclaiming his spot with slow, deliberate calm. The Rock looked down at his own arm in disbelief. Tyson's grip had been unexplainable. Not violent, not forceful, but impossibly strong, like steel wrapped in velvet. Tyson sat down, crossed his arms, and stared up at the Rock. "You can take any other seat," he said. "But not this one." The Rock stood still. His ego burned hotter than the plane's engine. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not like this. People waited. Would he explode? Would he laugh it off? Would he push back? But instead, something unexpected happened. The Rock's jaw tightened. He slowly stepped back, and the tiniest flicker of respect flashed in his eyes. "All right, champ," he said. "You win." He turned. Walked down the aisle. And took a different seat. But just when everyone thought it was over, the Rock did something that shocked the entire jet. And that moment, that action, is what changed everything. The cabin was still buzzing after the Rock backed off and took a different seat. It wasn't every day anyone, let alone a global superstar, yielded to Iron Mike Tyson. But what nobody expected was that the Rock wasn't done. Not by a long shot. He sat 3 rows behind Tyson, arms crossed, staring at the back of Mike's head with a mixture of annoyance and fascination. For the first few minutes, nothing happened. The engines roared, the jet began taxiing, and passengers assumed the tension would fade into awkward silence for the rest of the flight. They were wrong. Exactly 2 minutes after takeoff, the Rock stood. Every passenger looked up. "Sir, please remain seated," a flight attendant whispered urgently. "I will," the Rock said, "but I need to settle something first." He stepped into the aisle and walked slowly toward Tyson. People took out cameras but held them low, pretending not to film. Eyes widened. Heartbeats quickened. Tyson noticed him approaching. He removed his headphones again, calm as ever, like a man watching someone approach the gates of a lion enclosure. The Rock stopped right beside Tyson's seat. And then he bowed his head. Not in fear. Not in defeat. But in respect. "Mike," he said, his voice deep but humble. "I was out of line back there." The entire cabin blinked in disbelief. "I shouldn't have tried to push you out of the seat," The Rock continued. "Ego got the best of me. You handled it like a gentleman, and you had every right to check me." Tyson's stern face softened only slightly. "So what do you want, Rock?" he asked. The Rock slowly extended his hand. "I want to reset. Fresh start. Two legends, not two kids fighting over a chair." Passengers held their breath. Tyson stared at the hand, then chuckled. "You got a big heart," he said. "And a big ego. But that's all right." He shook hands with The Rock. The tension dissolved instantly, like a thunderstorm switching off. Passengers exhaled, relieved. But they didn't know. The real shock was only seconds away. Because right after shaking hands, Tyson said, "You know, you made a mistake trying to push me. But maybe I made one too." The Rock raised an eyebrow. "What mistake?" Tyson nodded to the empty seat beside him. "This flight's long. You should sit next to me." The cabin went silent again. The Rock laughed in disbelief. "Are you serious?" Tyson nodded. "If we're gonna fly together, let's fly together. Like men." The Rock didn't hesitate. He sat down next to Tyson, the exact seat he had fought for earlier. But now, they shared it. A wave of excitement spread across the jet. Two living legends, side by side, like a scene from a blockbuster crossover movie. For 10 minutes, they sat without speaking. Just breathing. Just existing as two powerful forces suddenly unsure what to say next. Finally, The Rock broke the silence. "You know, Mike, when you grabbed my arm earlier." Tyson smirked, "Yeah." The Rock shook his head. "Bruh, I thought my bones were gonna melt." Tyson burst into laughter. A loud, high-pitched laugh that filled the cabin. "You think that's pressure?" Mike said. "I was being gentle." "Gentle?" The Rock shouted. "If that was gentle, then God help anybody you ever fought." Passengers started laughing too. The tension had completely transformed into contagious energy. Moments later, Tyson leaned back and said something unexpected. "You ever wonder why people expect us to fight?" "Because we could level the world if we did," The Rock said. Tyson nodded. "And because everyone loves chaos." "But they forget something," The Rock replied. "What's that?" "That real strength," The Rock said with a grin, "is knowing when not to fight." Tyson nodded slowly. "That's real. Just when things seem to be settling into a peaceful, friendly vibe." A sudden turbulence shook the jet violently. The lights flickered. Luggage compartments rattled. A few screams echoed through the cabin. The Rock immediately grabbed the armrests. Tyson didn't even blink. "Relax," Mike said with the calm of a man who'd seen everything life could throw at him. "Just a little turbulence. Nothing to worry about." But The Rock's eyes were wide. "You don't understand," he muttered. "I hate flying." Tyson squinted. "You? The action guy? The man who jumps off skyscrapers in movies? That's CGI." The Rock snapped. "Do you see green screens around here?" Tyson laughed so hard the plane shook again. But then, The Rock grabbed Tyson's arm with both hands like a terrified child. "Mike. I'm being serious. This is bad. We're gonna die, aren't we?" Passengers gasped. They had never seen The Rock, panic. Tyson placed his hand firmly on the Rock's shoulder. "Look at me," Mike said. "I'm trying." Rock yelled. "But every time I look at you, the plane drops another 5 feet." Tyson held his face between his palms. "Calm down," Tyson said gently. "You're safe. I promise you. I've lived through worse than this." The turbulence eased slightly. The Rock's breathing slowed. Tyson guided him like a trainer calming a fighter between rounds. "You're strong," Tyson said. "Not because of your muscles, but because of your heart. Remember that." The Rock slowly nodded. Passengers who once expected a fight were now watching a heartfelt moment between two massive icons, one comforting the other. But the flight wasn't done giving surprises. Because right as things finally settled, the jet's pilot walked out briefly and announced, "Gentlemen, we're steady now. Sorry about the turbulence. But I must say, having The Rock and Mike Tyson on one flight. No turbulence is scarier than that." The cabin exploded with laughter. The Rock covered his face in embarrassment. Tyson grinned. "See?" Tyson whispered. "Now the whole plane knows you were scared." The Rock pointed at him. "You tell one person outside this plane, and I'll—" Tyson interrupted. "You'll what?" "Switch seats with me again," he teased. The Rock groaned. But then, the moment turned unexpectedly touching. Rock looked at Tyson and said, "Man, thank you. Seriously. For grounding me. For not embarrassing me." Tyson nodded slowly. "You're family now," he said. "Brothers look out for each other." The Rock stared for a moment, then bumped fists with him. From that point forward, everything changed. They talked. They laughed. They shared stories about childhood, pain, victories, failures. Two men known for strength were suddenly showing vulnerability. As the jet approached Dubai, Tyson leaned back and said, "You know what's funny? People will make up their own version of this story. They'll say we fought. They'll say one of us won. They'll say drama." The Rock nodded. "But we'll know the truth." "Yeah," Tyson said. Two men met. Two men clashed. Two men understood each other. The Rock turned and smiled. And two men shared a seat. When the jet landed, the door opened, and flashes exploded from paparazzi cameras. The Rock stood tall. Tyson walked behind him. And then, right there on the runway, The Rock wrapped his arm around Tyson's shoulder and yelled, "We almost fought over a seat. We survived turbulence. And this man right here, Mike Tyson, kept me alive." The cameras went wild. The story went viral. But the world never knew the real truth. Until now.